Good morning. This is a foreigner living in the Philippines. Well, right off, I guess we better apologize to those who are not coping with the chickens and various off noises that they hear when we do a video. But this is where we live. This is how it is. Right now, there's dogs and chickens. There's a caravel moving over there with the baby. That's life. The white beaches are being covered by people who are technically much more proficient than us. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, we've been asked to talk and discuss tempo, which is disagreements.
Misunderstanding. Misunderstanding.
Misunderstandings, okay. Right, see. Oh, there, I had that misunderstanding with you straight away. But what we've been asked to do is, honestly, do we have disagreements? The truth is, of course we have disagreements. We're a cross-cultural marriage, and that means that it's fraught with disagreements, not based on disagreeing with each other, but simply not understanding each other. A lot of the time, the foreigner in the relationship, because that's really what we're really talking about, is cross-cultural between Filipina and a foreigner from wherever he comes from, European, American, German, whatever. Right. Now here's where the disagreements can come in, and it also brings in the question of trust, because when you have an honest relationship, then there are no secrets. Whatever is said is taken as being true while the relationship is good. Of course, when that goes out the window, the relationship has gone out the window anyway. So what we're really looking at is, why would you have disagreements or misunderstandings? And the truth is that there are assumptions being made which are simply ill-founded, right? Those assumptions are usually based on that there is more understanding from the Filipina on the question of language than is real. Now, for my wife and I, we very often have a misunderstanding, say, on tense, not being tense, on past, present, future. Now, if I say, did you do such and such a thing? She may say yes. Now, to a Westerner speaking English, yes means that the thing has been done. It's in the past tense. But for Beth, who may not have that great an understanding of past, present and future, when it comes to actually speaking, it doesn't mean that at all. So here I am, I'm going along thinking that she has done what I asked her because she said yes, but it hasn't been done. And then later I find it's not been done. Now, for me, if I falsely assume something, I can, well, why did you say that it was done when it wasn't? She never intended to say that it had been done. She was using the English that she has to answer in the way that was available to her. So this is one area where misunderstandings can come about, and that is the Westerner assuming that there is complete fluent understanding of the language when there isn't. The other thing is that I know that if I was learning Visayan, which I'm really not working hard enough at, I would get certain little phrases that I would use in any given situation. Now, if I say to Beth, are you ready? She will say, in a moment. Well, that fills in a gap in a question without going into great things. Now, if you ever listen to a DJ, when a DJ is doing his scene, he has little tapes that he slips in when he wants to do the idea of the station, or he has some little thing of a kid laughing, or some little some little hook that he puts in which identifies him and his style. Now, those things are like little circuits, they're loops, and he puts them in so that he doesn't have to think. All of us use these little circuits or loops. We all use them. Now, Beth has amused a lot of people because she says, yeah, yeah. And now to some people, that sounded like she was being rude, as if I was asking a question. He was going, yeah, yeah. But that's not how she uses that. So they have context again. So she has a little loop there. She'll say, in a moment. She'll say all lots of different things like this. And I'm learning to put aside any potential misunderstanding until I know more about the exact situation. And you can talk.
Yeah, I think another thing is that I can contribute on what he said is, I think is sometimes in just a small, because my husband is in just even in a small detail he wants to know, you know. And I think one time is I'll go to the grocery, you know, and then when I come home, he asked how much did you as the expenses that you get in the grocery, and I said it's 2,500, you know. And then later on, the next day, he found out the receipt in the table, and the receipt is only 1,800. You know, 1,800, and he's getting mad at me. Why you didn't tell the truth? That it's 2,000. We said that it's 2,500. So you know, so he started getting mad, you know. And he says to me, "You're a Christian. Why you didn't tell the truth?" You know, like that.
Nothing like a good guilt trip, is there? Yes, dear. Go ahead.
Walk your what do you say that? Talk. Walk your talk.
Walk your talk. What's that? She's talking about talk the talk.
Yeah, talk the talk, walk the walk, and he says to me that, and I tried to explain to him, but he's getting bit, you know, getting mad at me. He says, why? So that's how it is, and I explained to him that, come on, I buy a turkey feeds, I buy some that outside the mall, outside the Alturas, where there's no receipt. Okay, so that's why I told you it's 2,500. And that, because what he wants the detail, you know, even in a small. So me, that I'm a little bit anger, you know, I'm getting a bit more on why he's telling me that you've been in question, why you didn't tell the truth, you know. So that's the start of our misunderstanding. In fact, that misunderstanding led me to in a vacation, right?
You may have seen a photograph on Facebook where I was working, we'd had a misunderstanding, and I was out in the workshop. I suppose I stomped out to the workshop. Hard to understand anybody as patient as me would do such a thing. But I did on that occasion, and I was out there when I saw Beth come out of the house, and she had her handbag on one shoulder and a small carrying bag on the other, and she
yeah, and I told her, and he saw me because he's working in the workshop.
Where are you going?
And I said, I'm going to a vacation. I leave my phone here. Don't contact me, okay?
Right, so here I am. I'm in the workshop. We've had a disagreement. And she's telling me that she's going on a vacation and she's not taking her cell phone.
Yeah, and for
what the hell's going on
5 days
here?
or
I'm
a
thinking. She said, I'm going on a vacation. In other words, one of those things that we need some time. We need some space between us and all of this. Anyway, she stamps off, and then I say, well, where are you going? She says, I'm going to Nana's. That's her mother, and she's going to stay with her mother. So,
no, at first I didn't tell you where I'm going.
no, you didn't. I had to get that out.
Yeah,
of
and
you.
then I told him I'm going to a vacation for a week. You You know, no cell phone. So my phone.
No cell phone, so
I
don't
left
try
the
and
phone.
contact me.
Yeah. Don't try to contact me. I
Right.
need space. I need time to think.
Yes.
'Cause
Now, it's important
Yeah,
that
and
you
then
now know.
he start getting mad. You know, he start getting mad.
No, I started getting a bit
your voice
worried.
are louder now. So when I know that he's getting mad, you know, he says, "Brr, brr, 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 brr." So I said, don't worry. It's just I need time.
She said, I'm going to my mother. Now,
Don't-
going to
don't-
tell you that her mother's house is like 30 feet away from our house. So she's got her bag packed, and she's not taking a cell phone.
And then
Well,
what
she's
he
only
said.
got to be 30 feet away from our house anyway.
Yeah, and then he get my backpack and he said, come on, don't include your mother in our misunderstanding.
So I made her come home. Right?
Yeah.
I dragged her home. See, now so we have these misunderstandings that I think are based on culture, on how you do things. The other thing is that if you're married to a Filipina, you probably won't know anything about this, but it's important in the East, in Asian communities, it's important to leave the person with face. You can't rob them. If they lose face, then this is a bad thing. This is a real injury, a real upset. That's why in the Philippines they use the emissary. And an emissary is where there's been a bad argument between two people. I mean, they use this in the West as well, but it's not quite so formalized. If two people have had a real serious argument with one or the other or both thinking that they're right, a little bit of time will be allowed to elapse, and then an emissary, someone else, a friend of both of them, will go from one to the other. And the emissary will go to person A and just broach the subject. You know, I understand, well, you've got this argument going with person B. Now, how do you feel about that? Person A will say, well, it's kind of a silly argument anyway, you know, but I'm not going to admit I'm wrong, or something like that. So then the emissary goes to person B and they say, how do you feel about the argument? And person B will admit that he or she thinks it's a silly argument anyway. So then the emissary goes back to person A and says, how would you feel if our mutual friend were to sort of just say hello and you move on? Person A would say, well, that would be okay with me. Now the emissary goes back again to the other and says, you know, you could easily, why don't you just say hello? So then the second person calls the first or arranges to accidentally meet them and say hello and behave as if nothing happened, and everything's over. So nobody lost their face, and nobody admitted they were wrong, and nobody said they were right. They just move on. Now, that's the difference. That's the difference between the East and, say, the West, where blame is heavily present. Somebody has to accept the blame. Somebody has to be accountable. Well, you said this, you said that, I said this. That's what I call the post-mortem method. They have to lay it out on the slab like a dead body and cut it up and pick it apart. Well, you said this and that's when you did that, and well, what about you? You did this. And it all gets like that, and it's all a mess. Whereas two Filipinos will just, one of them will wave and the other one will wave back, and then the next time that they meet, it'll be over. Not saying it's all forgotten, but they will move on. Gradually, the good feeling, to whatever the level it was, will be returned. And that's what you do, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I get into the Mr. Grump stage, what do you do?
I just let, you know, I just let you. I'll try to understand you. But later, I have my revenge, right?
This may be the start of a misunderstanding. Yes, dear. And what exactly does that mean?
You know, so that's how it is. Sometimes if she's getting angry, I'll try to understand, okay, come on, just, you know, and later on when her anger is getting lower, you know, calm down his head, I'm gonna talk to her. You're wrong on what you think, you know? What you're thinking is wrong.
Honey,
you're reason out.
look, let's not stretch the credulity of the viewer. How could I be wrong?
See, that's how it is. So, as what I said, we just try to understand each other. So with
You
the
just
other,
said you'd get your revenge.
no, but it's just a little bit, just to knock his head like that, you know.
Did you see that? Did you see it?
So if the other person,
I'm a battered husband.
if the other person is fire, so the other partner should be water, you know, so that the relationship will not clash, you know. So try to understand each other and always put respect in the relationship and always cultivate the love, you know.
And hit your partner on the forehead.
So yes, we have misunderstanding. We have some misunderstandings, small and big, you know. But at the end of the day, we try to fix it and we try to work the relationship that we had.
All it takes is for you to admit you're wrong.
So hope you're going to continue support our channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of trouble between me and her. Okay.
Yeah. So good morning from the Philippines and God bless. Thank you.
I wanted to say that.
Yeah. Bye bye.
We hope you'll see us again soon. Thanks for watching. Foreigner in the Philippines. In complete confusion. But I'm married to a Filipina.